All right, everybody, get comfy because we are diving headfirst into the world of taxes. Specifically, what's coming down the pipeline for 2025.
And let me tell you, we've been poring over the latest IRS announcements, those hot-off-the-press documents, really dissecting the good stuff so you don't have to.
Exactly. No need to wade through all that jargon. We're pulling out the need-to-know info on those tax brackets, deductions, all that jazz that hits you right in the wallet.
Right off the bat, the IRS has released those inflation-adjusted figures for the 2025 tax year.
Now, before you hit that next episode button thinking, 2025, that's ages away, remember.
This is about the taxes you'll be filing in 26 on income from 25.
We're talking about your financial future, folks. And the thing is, those crazy inflation hikes we saw, yeah, they're finally starting to simmer down.
Means we're looking at more, shall we say, modest adjustments to things like those tax brackets this time around.
So let's break it down. 2025 tax brackets, we've got the usual suspects, 10, 12, 22, 24, 32, 35, and topping it off at 37%.
And naturally, those rates play out differently depending on how you're filing. Single, married filing jointly, head of household, you know the drill.
But instead of getting lost in a sea of numbers, let's look at the big picture.
For example, to hit that top bracket, 37%. As a single filer in 25, you're looking at an income over $626,350.
Married couples filing jointly, you got to be raking it in over $751,600 to be exact.
So unless you're swimming in piles of cash like Scrooge McDuck.
Those upper brackets might not apply to most, but hey, a little financial daydreaming never hurt anyone.
Right. And don't forget, it's not just which bracket you land in, it's that marginal rate that matters, the percentage you're paying on each extra dollar earned.
It's like, ooh, a raise. Sounds fantastic, but how much of that am I actually going to see after those taxes take a bite?
Exactly. That's where those marginal rates rear their head.
Okay, but enough with the scary tax man talk. How about some good news? Those standard deductions are getting a nice little bump.
Music to our ears.
For those married folks filing jointly, that deduction's going up to $30,000. That's an $800 increase from 2024.
And for you, single filers, or those married but filing separately, you're looking at $15,000. A cool $400 jump.
Now, for anyone new to this whole tax game, let's do a super quick recap. What is this magical standard deduction, and why should we be doing a happy dance about it?
Well, it's basically a free pass from Uncle Sam. A set amount you deduct before taxes come knocking, meaning less taxable income, and hopefully more money staying put in your pocket.
And here's the kicker. Most people actually use the standard deduction instead of itemizing.
Absolutely. These increases, they mean real benefits for a lot of taxpayers.
Plus, honestly, who wants to be digging through a year's worth of receipts trying to decipher the tax code when you can just take the standard deduction and call it a day?
Right. Keep it simple.
Now let's talk about investments. What's the word on capital gains tax rates for 2025?
Well, hold on to your hats, because while those rates themselves are staying put,
There's always a catch, isn't there?
the income thresholds are shifting. Could mean rethinking the timing of those stock sales to avoid a higher tax bracket.
So spill the beans, give us the numbers.
All right. That sweet 0% rate on capital gains, the one everyone loves, that'll apply to individuals earning up to $48,350 and couples up to $96,700 in 2025.
So if your income's dancing around those numbers,
Pay attention. Even a small bump up could mean a bigger chunk of change going to taxes on those capital gains.
it's gotta be strategic. Think ahead.
Always.
And speaking of thinking ahead, we can't forget estate planning.
And hold on, before anyone tunes out thinking, estate planning, that's for the loaded folks.
Yeah.
It's really about making sure your wishes are carried out, your loved ones are taken care of, no matter how big or small your estate.
True that.
Especially now, with that federal estate tax exclusion going up to $13,990,000 per person, or double that for married couples in 2025. Definitely worth knowing about.
Absolutely. While it's always best to get personalized advice from an estate planning pro,
Always a good idea.
it's good to know that more of your hard-earned assets might be safe from those federal estate taxes.
Exactly.
All right, let's switch gears to something a little less, well, final than estate taxes, shall we?
Sounds good to me.
Let's talk gifting. Because who doesn't love spreading a little joy and maybe some tax savings with a well-timed present?
Right.
Good news is you can be a bit more generous in 2025 without those pesky gift taxes raining on your parade. The annual gift tax exclusion is going up to $19,000, a bump up from $18,000 in 2024.
Not bad, not bad.
So, want to shower your loved ones with gifts, maybe help out with a down payment? You can give up to $19,000 to as many people as you like without triggering that gift tax.
Housewarming party at my place. I'll take that down payment.
Huh? And hey, if you and your spouse are feeling extra generous, team up and double that amount, $38,000 per person. Imagine the look on their faces.
Just be sure to read the fine print, folks.
Always. Remember, those are the federal guidelines. Your state might have its own rules on gift taxes, and, well, taxes are tricky little things.
They sure are.
We've covered a lot today, from those all-important tax brackets and standard deductions to navigating the ins and outs of capital gains, estates, and gifts. But believe it or not, we're just scratching the surface. Those IRS announcements are jam-packed with details, and we want to make sure you've got all the intel you need to tackle the 2025 tax year like a pro. You know, it's kind of wild how even these seemingly small tweaks from the IRS can really shake up your whole financial strategy.
Oh, absolutely. Like those capital gains thresholds we talked about.
Right. You're planning for retirement, maybe selling off some assets.
Those new thresholds could be the difference between a hefty tax bill and keeping more of your hard-earned cash.
Talk about a make or break detail. It's like planning a cross-country road trip.
Ooh, I like this analogy.
You're not just going to hop in the car and drive blindly, are you? You got to map out the route, maybe scope out some cool stops along the way.
Exactly. And be prepared for detours, because you never know.
Exactly. And when it comes to navigating those tricky tax terrains, a good tax professional, they're like your financial co-pilot.
Love it. Making sure you hit those scenic overlooks. Or, tax deductions.
There you go. Speaking of deductions, our sources mention something called above-the-line deductions. What's the deal with those?
Those are the real MVPs of the tax world, I tell you. Think of it this way. If you're self-employed, paying for your own health insurance.
Which, let's be real, a lot of folks are these days.
Those premiums, they can actually trim down your AGI, like getting a discount before you even calculate your taxes.
Okay, so we're talking about shrinking that taxable income as much as possible.
Exactly.
And a lower AGI could open the door to even more tax breaks and credits down the line. It's like a chain reaction of savings.
Bingo. Now you're getting it.
And while we could spend hours dissecting every single deduction, and believe me, the tax code has a lot of them, are there any adjustments this year that really stand out for, say, families or folks with education expenses?
Great question. One biggie is the child tax credit. Now, Congress is always doing their thing, debating back and forth about potential changes.
They love to keep us on our toes, don't they?
But as of right now, that refundable credit maxes out at $1,700 per qualifying child for 2025.
So parents out there, back of the napkin calculations for 25, make sure to factor that in.
Absolutely.
And speaking of education, what about student loans? Anything new on the interest deduction front?
You bet. For 2025, that deduction starts to phase out at $85,000 for single filers, and double that, $170,000 for those filing jointly.
And if you hit $100,000 for single filers or $200,000 for couples?
Poof. Gone. Vanished. No more deduction.
Wow, talk about a hard cutoff. So another thing to keep in mind if you're juggling those student loan payments, it's amazing how these little details can sneak up on you.
Tell me about it. It's like the IRS throws a curveball just when you think you've got a handle on things.
Speaking of keeping up, remember those online IRS tools we mentioned? Seems they've made some interesting updates on that front too, especially when it comes to security.
Oh yeah. With everything moving online these days, got to make sure that data is locked down tight.
So what kind of changes are we talking about?
Well, they're really beefing up those login and ID verification steps for accessing your tax info online.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so it might not be as simple as remembering your username and password anymore. Might need to jump through a few more hoops.
But hey, a little inconvenience is a small price to pay for peace of mind, right? Knowing your sensitive information is safe and sound.
Absolutely. It's like installing a top-notch security system in your home. Might take an extra second to arm and disarm it, but that added protection, totally worth it.
Couldn't agree more. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into the 2025 tax landscape, I wanted to circle back to those lesser-known but potentially lucrative tax credits lurking in the tax code.
Ooh, I love a good treasure hunt. What hidden gems are we unearthing today?
Well, for starters, we've got the Earned Income Tax Credit, or EITC for short. This one's designed to give a helping hand to those with lower incomes.
A little boost to help make ends meet.
Exactly. And for 2025, married couples filing jointly with 3 or more qualifying kiddos.
They can see a maximum credit of $8,046.
Wow, that's up from $7,830 in 2024. That's a significant difference.
Every bit counts, right?
Absolutely. And for those thinking about growing their families through adoption, the tax code's got your back there too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The adoption credit for children with special needs is set at $17,280 for 2025.
A little help with those expenses can go a long way.
Absolutely. And for other adoptions, the maximum credit is capped at the amount of qualified adoption expenses, also up to $17,280.
Not too shabby.
Not at all. It's really incredible how these credits can make a real difference.
They really can.
And it just goes to show, taking the time to understand these IRS updates, exploring all those options, it can pay off big time, both literally and figuratively.
You said.
But let's be real, we've thrown a lot of info your way today. Numbers, deadlines, credits you never even knew existed. It's enough to make anyone's head spin. So how can our listeners even start to process all of this and figure out what it means for their situation?
Yeah, it's true. We've kind of thrown a lot at you today. It's like numbers, deadlines, credits you never even knew existed, right? Enough to make your head spin.
It really is. But that's the thing about taxes, right? Complex. And those rules change like, I don't know, like the seasons, it seems.
They sure do. But here's the good news. You don't have to be some tax whiz to come out on top.
That's right. So first things first, don't go assuming your 2024 tax return is some kind of crystal ball for 2025.
Oh, absolutely not.
Life happens, right? New job, growing family, maybe you finally get that vacation home you've been dreaming of.
All those curveballs life throws at you.
Exactly, and all that impacts your tax situation.
Big time.
And I know it's tempting to just like shove those tax forms in a drawer, forget about them till next year.
Out of sight, out of mind, right?
But trust me, staying organized throughout the year, game changer.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, I know. Not the most exciting advice.
Not exactly a thriller.
But future you will be thanking you come tax time. And hey, remember those handy-dandy IRS online tools we talked about?
They can be a lifesaver.
Seriously. Set those payment reminders. Track your refund status. It's like having a personal tax assistant in your pocket.
Exactly. Speaking of assistants, let's talk about the real MVPs of tax season, those tax professionals.
Yes.
Even if you're a total DIYer, sometimes you just got to call in the experts.
Absolutely.
Think of it this way. Would you try to fix a leaky pipe yourself with zero plumbing experience?
Or like rewire your entire house without calling an electrician.
Right. Unless you just really enjoy chaos.
Exactly. And taxes, same deal. Those tax pros, they live and breathe this stuff. They know all the ins and outs, the deductions you might have missed.
They can save you from some costly mistakes, I tell you.
Seriously. Plus, having a tax pro in your corner just takes a load off your shoulders. Yeah. And who needs more stress in their life?
Amen to that.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive here into the wild world of 2025 taxes.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. Let's leave everyone with this. What's one small step you can take today to feel more empowered, more prepared for the tax season ahead? Maybe it's finally bookmarking that IRS website, scheduling a chat with a tax pro.
Even just grabbing a folder and labeling it 2025 taxes?
Yes. Every journey starts with a single step.
Love that. Because remember, knowledge without action, it's like a delicious meal you never get to eat. All potential, no payoff.
You got it. So there you have it, folks, your crash course on the 2025 tax landscape. We've explored the key changes, unpacked their potential impact, and hopefully given you the tools to tackle your taxes with confidence. Because when it comes to your hard-earned money, knowledge is power.
Hear, hear.
Until next time, happy filing, everyone.